to really, be as successful as you can with any type of advertising, one of the things that you need to know is who is your target? Who are you actually trying to reach? There are products that, can appeal to whoever, like toilet paper, right? And there are products that are going to fit a more narrow type of demographic. And in order for you to reap the benefits of Facebook, you need to really understand exactly who it is that you're trying to get your product in front of. Who is that person that uses your product, that this type of individual is who I'm targeting. And it's best, really, if you can do it in such a way that you have in your mind one individual. So you will, if you have a product that your individual is a guy with a mohawk, he's about 24 years old, he's got tattoos all over his body, he's got a leather biker jacket on. If you get it down specifically to that, this is my target. If you can target it like that, then you have a better opportunity of, number one, sculpting your ads to appeal to that individual, and number two, selecting the right demographic information to get your ad in front of the right kind of people. All right, because now that doesn't mean other people don't buy your product. Yeah, sure they do. But when you think, this is my target, this is my customer, you should try to have something in your mind, an actual individual, not necessarily a group of people, an individual. And that individual might be a single mother. She's 34 years old. And, you can get as detailed as you want. She's blonde. She's a teacher. She drives, a Camaro, whatever you want, right? But try to, and it's not that you're making it up. You want to try to find out who is your customer, who buys these products. Also consider, are there people out there that would be buying your product as a gift? Is that something that, like if you sell toys and stuff, obviously there's going to be not only parents, but grandparents, uncles and aunts, things like that could possibly be interested in your product. So is that an option? Are you a brick and mortar store? Do you want to do some geographical targeting? Is the product or service that you have available something that could appeal to everyone globally, or is it something where you need to narrow it down? You need to be able to do that, because there's no point in having an ad. If you're selling something, a service, let's say that you only service a 50-mile radius of your actual store, there's no point in having that ad displayed all over the world. Okay, you're going to pay for those clicks. You're not going to use them. Split test demographics with multiple ads. I've mentioned previously the importance of doing some testing. Remember that you have the potential here, the ability to select different demographics and multiple ads within those demographics. It's very important that you consider doing that, because certain kinds of ads will appeal to different age groups. It'll appeal to different genders. Even though you're selling the same product, there's certain things that you can do that will appeal to who you're targeting. So make sure you take advantage of that. You have to have a good understanding, a clear definition of what your market is, who your market is, before you sit down to try to create your ads. It's going to help you focus on, what type of action you're trying to get. It's going to help you make a connection with them. Yeah, this is why it's so important to sit down and do this planning prior to just making an ad. Who am I appealing to? What am I trying to get out of them? What's my desired action? These things are very, very important so that when you sculpt that ad, it matches up even better. And, of course, we're still going to be tweaking the ad. But imagine if you don't sit down and think about this stuff. You don't sit down and consider who it is that you're targeting, and you just create an ad. It's not going to be very effective. Let's talk about budget. We want to go over a little bit of what it takes to get, your ad displayed, because we kind of have to try to factor things in with what it is that we're going to actually be paying. What's actually going on behind the scenes is you're bidding on what you would be willing to pay to get your ad displayed in a certain scenario. Okay, let's say demographics match, all that kind of stuff, and this is where I want to show up, right? Now, there's going to be other people that also want to show up there. So what happens is you put in your bid, and you're either going to do the pay-per-click kind of model where you're paying per click, or you're going to do the CPM model, which is per 1,000 impressions. So if you just want to get your ad displayed, no matter how many clicks, 1,000 impressions, you pay a certain amount of money. Obviously, you don't know how many clicks, necessarily you're going to receive. You might get a lot, you might get less, and you pay the same amount. With the pay-per-click model, you're going to pay just when you get a click. So what happens is when a viewer comes to a page to load it, Facebook goes out and it sees who all wants to advertise on that page. And this happens super duper fast, right? And it checks out the amounts, the bid amounts, and the highest bidder is, in a nutshell, the highest bidder is going to win. There's some other factors that we're going to talk about here, but for the most part, the higher bidder, let's say, is going to win. You don't, though, necessarily pay your high bid amount. Let's say you bid 30 cents on something. Somebody else bid 20 cents on something. You're going to pay less than 30 cents because it's going to just bump you up to whatever it takes to beat out the other guy that was bidding 20 cents. Okay, so it doesn't automatically bump you up to your 30 cents. It just does whatever it needs to do to win. Okay. Well, one of the factors that it's going to take into account, though, in addition to that, is past performance. Because it's not just about money. The more successful an ad is, the more likely it's going to be that that ad is going to win other bids for placement there. Okay, that doesn't mean that a new ad is going to not win. Okay, but it's not going to necessarily show up as much. What's going to happen is Facebook is going to look at how often does this ad actually get a click. And Google does the same thing in this respect, because if, let's say you're bidding 30 cents and some other guy's bidding 20 cents, but every time your ad shows up, nobody clicks on it. And, maybe 3 or 4 or 5% of the time, they click on the other guy's ad that's doing 20 cents. Well, Facebook's going to say, okay, I can show this guy and never make any money, or I can show this guy and make that 20 cents pretty frequently. It's going to say, you know what, I want to go with where the money's at. And that's kind of the way that Google operates as well. So your past performance is factored in there. There also is a quality of the ad. That's going to be determined really by the users. The more people that like an ad, the more likely that ad is to win, in a bidding situation. So it's a good idea to create compelling ads and build up a good reputation so that people like the ad. They click that little like button right next to the ad. Your budget is something that you definitely need to keep in mind. But Facebook actually takes that into account as well. If you're, let's say your stated budget needs to be something that is well within your abilities. Okay, it needs to be something that you can afford. But you need to kind of factor out, this is how much money I'm going to spend on advertising this month, and set that dollar amount in your campaign. Are you going to possibly run multiple ads at the same time? Maybe you're going to hit different demographics, and you want to have multiple campaigns going. If that's the case, you've got to divide up your budget for every one of those campaigns, right? If you say I'm going to spend, $200 this month on advertising, and you're going to run 4 different campaigns, that means $50 a piece. So you need to make sure that you have that entered in there correctly so that your campaign, it matches up. And let me give you a little bit of a technical tip here to help you maximize your revenue here. When you first start out with this, you don't know necessarily what ads are going to do well, right? So what you can do is you can lower your bid amounts so your ads aren't going to show up as much. But once you start to get some stats, you'll be able to tell, okay, yeah, this ad is outperforming these other ones. You might not be getting a whole lot of traffic because you're trying to be careful, right, with your money. Well, so all you do then is once you get some good stats there, you can say, okay, this is the ad that works better. Then go ahead and amp up your bid amounts and get your ad out there more. But now you know you're using a more effective ad. So that's a good thing that you would probably want to consider doing. Also, the campaign duration. How long are you going to be doing this? Okay. A lot of times ads, the whole campaign thing, it takes a little while to get rolling and start seeing some revenue, start seeing some profitability. You can start seeing, man, in just a couple of days, I'm seeing sales increase dramatically. Great. But you have to be able to watch that campaign, be willing to tweak some things and not expect that you're going to be getting instant sales that day. Okay, it may happen, but it may not. Then we want to consider our bid amount. How much is it worth to you to get clicks? As a business owner, whatever you're promoting, you have to understand that there's going to be a point that something is profitable and that beyond that, it becomes unprofitable. Let me give you a little bit of a scenario here, a little example. Let's say you're an affiliate marketer and you're promoting this product. Let's just say it is 16 gigabyte thumb drives, okay? And you will make $5 off of the sale of one of these thumb drives. Well, that's very unlikely because I think you can get these for $20 now, but we'll use that as an example. If you know that out of 100 people that come to your landing page, one person will buy that thumb drive, then you can say, it is worth to me to spend $5 to get 100 clicks. Right? That's like your break-even point. So if I have to spend $4 to get 100 clicks, or in other words, 4 cents a piece, then fantastic. I'm good with that. I'm making some money. Okay, I'm profitable. Well, if I have to spend $6 to get that traffic, not worth it to me because I'm losing money. So there are some things you need to factor in. You have to try to, hopefully you can get some data to estimate at least how much traffic you need to make sales, and how, like, if you can tell out of 100 clicks I make $30, then you can run the math and you can decide what it is worth to you to bid on different scenarios to get that traffic. You have to figure that out. You have to calculate it. I can't tell you bid this amount. You have to figure out what it's worth to still be profitable to you. Now we have also bid ranges. Winning bids are selected based not only on the bid amount, but also the quality of the ad and how well that ad has performed in the past, right? Well, Facebook is going to give you suggested bid ranges to kind of help you win the auctions and get a placement in there. The thing is that a lot of times those ranges are going to be a little bit higher than what it would really take to get in there, okay? Maybe there's going to be a niche that you can get into that doesn't have a whole lot of competition, and you can bid low and still get plenty of placement and not be paying a bunch of money. If you find a niche that is very competitive on Facebook, they're going to give you recommendations, and you might have to go with those recommendations to get placement, and you might even have to bid higher in order to get placement and beat out others. So that's something that just happens. So it doesn't matter necessarily the bidding range that you select. You want to take the time to follow up and take a look at your results. What are you actually achieving? Did you set your bids too low and you need to bump them up? Are they way too high and you could still get placement by lowering them? You have to track that stuff. Take all of this stuff into consideration when you start to think about what you're going to be spending, what you're willing to spend on your advertising on Facebook. In the next video, we'll take a look at some rules and tips.